So I am happy to have Bob Baer here in our studio. Welcome to RITV.
Thank you.
Although you're pretty familiar with these studios,
Yes,
you come in here quite a bit.
I don't have far to go, do I?
So tell me a little bit about how you ended up here in Telluride and your story.
Well, actually, I'm from Colorado. I grew up in Aspen, Colorado.
Okay.
I moved there when I was about 10 or 11, something like that, and lived there for a long time. I went to University of Colorado for a while. And at some point, and I was in the CIA at the time, we bought a hotel in Ouray called the Western Hotel.
Oh, okay.
That was pretty much dilapidated and haunted as well. So
wow.
we fixed that up, and so lived in Ouray part-time, came there a lot, and eventually went to Silverton, Colorado. Bought a house there to do AT skiing. And then once the whole town became motorized, we moved to Ophir.
Okay. And been there ever since?
I've been there mostly, between here and Washington.
All right. So tell me about your work in the intelligence community.
It started as, pretty much a prank.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was going to Berkeley at the time, and I had a roommate that I was staying with, actually sleeping on his couch. And we got up one morning, and there were all these scandals in the newspapers about the CIA. It was like, you would think it was, the ninth circle of hell. And so we thought it'd be very funny if this Aspen ex-ski racer applied to the CIA.
And
And I just figured, said no. I'd get a letter from no, don't contact us again, go away. And I got hired, and I said, well, what could go wrong? And
I'm sure plenty, right?
Well, plenty. It started out badly. They did the security clearance. I was living in Berkeley at the time with two anarchists.
Oh.
And I was studying Mandarin at the time. And I remember there was this knock on the door. It was like a second floor place, and there was a knock on the door. And I went down, and there was this guy in a suit, which you didn't see in Berkeley in the 70s. The suits were...
Especially living with two anarchists, you're like, we are in trouble.
He said, I'm here to talk about Bob Baer. And he was at the wrong address.
Oh.
He was at my address. He got it confused. And I remember at the top of the stairwell there was this, I'd put this poster up of Mao Zedong, and I'd written in the bottom in Chinese that the east wind blows red. And at the one of our roommates had a boa constrictor, which came out of the door at the time, was the top of the... So I thought, well, here goes it. And then they hired me, and then I showed up. And
fascinating.
A couple weeks later, I was jumping out of airplanes with machine guns and blowing stuff up. And
so it's like being James Bond.
It wasn't like being James Bond, but it was all a surprise to me.
You're jumping out of airplanes with machine guns sounds pretty exciting.
Yeah. So I've trained for 2 years, and then sat for 2 years on a desk, something like that. It was a totally 7-year training, course in India. Going to Area 51 to do training like that, and just all over.
Were you stationed anywhere specifically?
All the Middle East.
All Middle East, okay.
I was in India, Beirut, Syria, the Sudan, Iraq, a bit of the time, Morocco and Paris.
Oh, wow.
For 21 years.
And then you would come back to Ouray and Ophir, Silverton for some retreat time?
Well, what I did, I took my ways with me, and that was backcountry skiing, like when I was in Iraq during the war. They thought it was nuts showing up in a war with skis, to ski on the Iranian border. So, what can I tell you? It was good cover, though.
Yeah.
You ski in Lebanon, and there's a place called Faraya. No, it was someplace, it was by the sea. Anyhow, there was, in the morning, the artillery would start. The Syrians would be bombing the Palestinian camps in Beirut, and they would be firing the artillery over the range, over the Shuf range. And you'd be at the top of the ski slope, and these shells would go hurtling over your head.
Oh my gosh.
And you could watch them hit. So that was a different way to go skiing.
A little excitement.
Yeah.
You're like, these are not Avi bombs.
No. They definitely weren't.
So tell me about what you've been doing now. You work with CNN and other channels as well?
I work for CNN. I write books. I do scripted shows. In fact, I'm starting a show here on Thursday. The showrunner's coming up. It's a scripted show. We're going to be shooting in Istanbul.
Oh, okay. Great. And tell me about your books. How many books have you written?
I think it's 6. The first one was turned into a movie called Syriana, and George Clooney played me.
Yes.
And
Did that debut here for a film festival?
No, it was in Venice.
Okay.
No, that wasn't. Where was it? No, Berlin and New York.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where it was. I can't remember so long ago.
I remember hearing about it, so I thought
Yeah.
that it was in here. Great. And so you are in Telluride full time now?
About 7 months of the year, and
Okay.
between here and Washington.
Right here in Washington. And so when you're here in Telluride, you come to the Telluride TV studio and tap into the CNN news feed?
Yeah, right here we have a feed that goes over the internet.
Uh-huh.
It's HD, TV quality. Come in here. I'll come on weekends. I was here on Sunday talking about the shooting in Los Angeles, the hostage thing, like an hour and a half.
Wow. How does it usually work? Do they contact you? Are you a regular, weekly?
It's when they need you, and it sort of goes in waves, and it depends what the issue is. If there's terrorism, it's terrorism. If it's Russia, something comes up, I can, bring it up.
So do they usually consult you for things specifically, or kind of just terrorism in general, the community, the intelligence community in general?
It's on a need. It's cable TV. Come on. It's like the other day I was talking about the divers in Thailand.
Oh yeah.
I don't dive and I don't go in caves, but they wanted somebody to say something that sounded semi-intelligent. I'm not sure how intelligent I sound, but they keep inviting me back, filling airtime,
So
right?
you must be sounding good, right?
Yeah, who knows? Maybe they're desperate.
So what is the current thought in the intelligence community with what's going on with our administration, the Russia scandal, and...
Well, we've never had a president like this who's attacked the FBI and the CIA like this ever. It's never happened. Worst days of McCarthy, it's never happened. So you have the president on one side whose every act he has taken looks like he's somehow beholden doing the bidding of Russia against the intelligence community. The intelligence on Russia is absolutely perfect. It's great. It's wonderful. They've got names, times, dates. It doesn't get any better than that. So for the president to say this is all a hoax, what do you do? I mean, the intelligence community deals in fact.
Yeah.
Even in Iraq, they dealt in fact, in the sense that the intelligence they had on Saddam Hussein was so bad that they were reluctant to send it to the White House. But the White House said, we want it anyhow because we want to go to war. It's a nuance most people don't get. But both the FBI and the CIA, they deal in fact, and this president doesn't.
So that's a scary thing for the intelligence community. How is it coping?
Well, you can't cope because you got a president that's dealing in emotion, political emotion, which has nothing to do with fact. You just say these are good guys, bad guys, and we don't know what to do.
Yeah. Everyone's just kind of at a
Yeah.
loss.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. If you want to catch more of Bob Baer, Telluride TV will be hosting an event August 8th or 9th at the Wilkinson Public Library. So stay tuned for more information on that.